Hi, I want to invite us to rethink things that our parents might have told us. Here's the version of this one that I got as a kid. My father was not comfortable with my emotionality at all. My father was a great man in many ways, but where he really struggled was when I got overly happy or overly joyful or overly sad. And it was inconvenient for him. And there were a few times when I was in the midst of, say, crying with great sadness. And I remember my father saying to me this: "Stop crying or I'll give you something to really cry about." And I remember even as a child, I was a pretty logical child, stopping in the midst of that and thinking, that just doesn't make any sense. If he wants me to stop crying, why would he do something that might make me cry more? I don't understand this. And so maybe you didn't get exactly that phrase as a kid, but I think many of us have grown up with someone somewhere, may not have been a parent, it might have been a grandparent or a teacher or some adult around us in an environment where we were upset and crying or even joyfully crying, and someone said, "Stop crying. Stop with the tears. Just let it go. Stop all this crying." Well, I've been on a journey the last few years of some deep, profound grief. And I'm going to tell you that crying has been one of the best things I've ever done for myself. And thankfully, as I grew older and I began to do work on myself and went to therapy and did workshops and did work at Mile High Church on myself, I learned to re-embrace my emotions, all of them, including crying. And I've been at a few memorials lately and been with people as they've lost loved ones. And I have noticed that there's something in our culture around crying that is pervasive. And it feels to me like what it is that people are ashamed of their tears. When we're here in classes at Mile High Church, often someone will get up and share something that's really either sad or brings forth awe, and they'll start crying. And immediately, sometimes out of their mouth will be, I'm sorry, I'm crying. And I just want to say, and sometimes I do, please don't apologize for your tears. And so today, I'm inviting us, all of us, to really look at the messages we've gotten about our tearfulness. Sometimes people who've been around us who are uncomfortable with our emotionality have given us messages that we're too emotional, we cry way too much, we're too teary, get over it, whatever it might be. And today I want to be your champion of tears. I want to invite us, not only from that emotional times that we experienced as kids where maybe we kind of lost it and got a little too overly emotional, but as adults, to really re-embrace our tears. Years ago, I heard a speaker at a business lunch that I was attending, and he was this very soft-spoken, very gentle man. And he said something that touched me so deeply. He said, "I have been blessed with the gift of tears." And I thought, that's it. And that's what I'm claiming for myself. I am blessed with the gift of tears. What that means is that I allow myself to cry my tears at a movie that's really emotional, while I'm reading a book, while I'm watching children play, and I feel this sense of awe as I look up at a sunrise. Well, honestly, I don't see that many sunrises. I don't get up that early. Sunset. I have tears in my heart. As I look at the beautiful full moon sometimes at night, I get so teary. I went to the ocean recently and I sat down at the ocean. I'm getting the tears now. And I looked at the ocean and I just started crying for joy at being near the ocean and seeing the waves. I've embraced my gift of tears, and I'm inviting us today to consider where it is that we have possibly tamped down that gift for ourselves. And I want to speak a little bit about why we may have done that and how it doesn't serve us. So what happens for many people when they start to encounter their tears that they've possibly pushed down for a while is that it feels, at least for a while, like it just happens over and over and over, and we can't stop crying, and we're crying all the time. And people even give us that rolling eye message of, oh, she's always crying kind of thing. But what happens is that we start to feel like, if I start crying, I'll never stop. But the truth is actually the opposite. If you and I don't let ourselves cry, we can never really be fully happy and expressed and feel the full range and the full spectrum of this thing called being alive. It is about those teary human moments, those transcendent moments that open our soul and our essence up in beautiful and profound ways. And so I did a little research because, of course, my own experience has taught me that I believe that being willing to cry is important, and I don't apologize ever, anywhere, anymore for crying. And in fact, I don't even like for people to give me a Kleenex when I'm crying. I want the full experience of the wet face and the snot coming out of my nose. I want to be fully in my tears when they come. And so I really enjoy that. But I know that people sometimes are embarrassed or feel uncomfortable with that. But the research that I came up with, and looking it up on the internet and talking with some doctors and people that I've discussed this with, is that everything we know right now about our physiology tells us that crying and letting those tears out, especially with regards to anxiety and sadness and even depression, is healthy, that the body needs and wants to cry. And that just like a little child, a little baby, a newborn baby uses crying, and tears form and express themselves, and it helps the baby process those emotions for whatever it's crying for. That's important for us. That's a part of us physiologically that never goes away. And so it's important for our physiology that we express those tears and allow them to show up in our lives and to allow them to be fully expressed. And so not only physiologically is it important, I think it helps us emotionally to process the emotions that we're feeling, the emotions that get stuck, the emotions that are challenging. I know there have been times when I'm journaling fiercely about something, and I go through the cycles of starting out with anger. I'm angry about something, then it goes into sadness, and I'm sad, and I'm crying, and feel that tearfulness come up. And then I find myself sort of feeling a sense of clarity and relief. And I think this is important for the process of human emotions. And I think it's important for us around our sense of the divine. I don't know a single person who's ever come in contact with that which they would call God, also known as awe, who didn't also experience tears. Tears of deep, profound joy. Tears of, oh my gosh. So if we're someone who's been suppressing our tears, being ashamed of our tears, being afraid of our tears, not only then are we successfully possibly suppressing our human emotions and keeping them at bay, but we're keeping ourselves from what is one of the deepest searches we have as human beings, which is the search for the divine. Because the gift of tears comes with the gift of processing human emotion, and also comes with the gift of knowing and experiencing beauty, awe, love, God. So this week, this is an invitation to explore our tearfulness, to do some crying, to even lead ourselves into things and experiences, movies and settings and nature that allow ourselves to feel the gift of our tears and to feel them fully. For I believe that in feeling our tears, we come fully alive. The beautiful poet Rumi talks about how Our tears lead us to the divine. They don't lead us to weakness. They can be some of our greatest strengths. Go forth. Have a teary week.
What I know is there is one power, one presence in this universe, simply one, and that presence is love. Love in, through, and around us, love as us. And I just breathe into that, accepting that oneness, accepting that reality, that truth that permeates in, through, and around us as us. What I know is that if there is only one, and that is love, that I am a divine expression of that one love, that I am love. I am here to give and receive love. And what I know and proclaim for all is the same, that we are all unique, amazing, needed, divine expressions of love. And I know that that love, that one source, permeates all of life, all relationships, all circumstances, all work, everything, every place, no space where God is not. God simply is. Love simply is. And I know with confidence that as we move through change, we spiritual beings having this human experience, as we move through change, as we see change, we witness change, that we are comforted, knowing that the universe is conspiring for our good. So this change is not here to hold us down, it is here to propel us. And I accept that propelling. I accept that expansion, knowing that God is in the change, whether it is in the change of the moon, the seasons, cycles, relationships, work, health conditions. The change offers us opportunity to reveal more of that oneness, more of that one love. So I just rest into that trust in change. Rest in the safety of it, affirming that we are all safe. And I do this from a place of gratitude. Gratitude, welcoming change, being open to it instead of resisting it. I stand in a place of gratitude for prayer, this place where we can come to share our thoughts with the divine, to know and affirm the truth. I stand in great gratitude for Mile High Church, this place where we come to remember who we are and why we are. So in that gratitude, I simply release this prayer into the law, trusting and believing in it, in the process. And in that, we release it together by saying, and so it is.